One shall stand, one shall fall. It's the 40th anniversary today of the Transformers, the movie, my favorite movie ever made. In honor of the 40th anniversary, we're going to go ahead and review the movie. So let's transform and roll out. 40 years already. 40 years of the Transformers, the movie. This is something that has been released on VHS, multiple versions on VHS. Did you know it even had a Laserdisc? Yeah, it was released on Laserdisc. And then there was, of course, the modern media. We had the original on DVD, then we had the 20th anniversary, and then finally we had the 30th anniversary. There's also the 35th anniversary, which I still have not yet to pick up, which they released on Blu-ray 4K, especially in an astoundingly beautiful steel book. This was a movie spin-off of the TV show, The Transformers, More Than Meets the Eye, which hit TV screens in September 1984, only to be outdone 2 months or a month earlier by Marvel Comics' Transformers. The original cartoon ran for 4 seasons and was immensely popular. Now, it was immensely popular with the first 2 seasons with the original Autobots and Decepticons, the battle between Optimus Prime and Megatron. But then when the later seasons came on, it just seemed like a cheap attempt to capitalize on the movie and continue the movie, although the movie was gold. Now, the TV show was so massively popular, the toy line was even more popular, the comic books were popular, that what's the next logical step? Movie. Every time there's a popular cartoon, this always happens. Let's take Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, for example. They each got the big screen treatment. Well, it was no different for the Transformers. I gotta say, for a movie that is based off of a cartoon TV series to sell toys, I don't think that I've ever seen a movie like this in my life. The animation is top-notch. The music in this film is, I think, the greatest soundtrack I've ever listened to. It's my favorite soundtrack of all time. And I'm not gonna lie to you, the story in this movie is quite compelling and has you sometimes at the edge of your seat. It's such a phenomenal work. Now that being said, today, August 8th, 2026, The Transformers the movie turns 40 years old. It was released in theaters August 8th, 1986. How old was this guy? Barely even a month old. I've always been a lifelong Transformers fan. Now, I didn't get the option to see this movie until I was a little bit older, and when I first saw this movie, it blew my mind. And I'm super excited and super happy to talk about this movie with you today. As you can see in my hand, I have multiple copies of the Transformers, the movie. Now, I still want to get myself the VHS, I want to get that Laserdisc, and I want to get the 35th anniversary Steelbook. But I'm not here to talk about the physical media today with a spoiler review, but I mean, come on, it's been 40 years. If you haven't seen the movie, like, it shouldn't technically be spoilers. Today I'm doing a special Not That It Matters review for the 40th anniversary of the Transformers the movie. This is my review with spoilers of the Transformers the movie. Starts off, it is the year 2005. Oh yeah, look at that, 21 years later from 2005. The beginning of the movie sees a civilization of robots just living their peaceful life, and along comes a massive planet and starts devouring. And it's one of those opening scenes that really messes with your mind because you're like, what the hell is this? What am I getting myself into? And I still feel that way all these years later. After all that happens, the planet floats away. And then we're here with our opening credits. In my opinion, the best rendition ever of the Transformers theme song by Lion. And we show the whole entire cast. And really kudos to Leonard Nimoy being in this movie, Orson Welles, Robert Stack. So they really got, you know, a bunch of well-known actors. Same thing for Judd Nelson, who was very popular at the time, who did the voice of Hot Rod. Now, I'm not going to mention all the music cues in this movie because there are so many musical cues in here, and the music is just so amazing that I could talk about the music and the soundtrack all on its own.
Well, that's just prime.
The Decepticons have basically conquered Cybertron. And so the Autobots are in desperation here because they would like to regain control. So they've decided that they are basically going to, I guess a counterattack on the Decepticons so that they can take back Cybertron. This leads the Autobots to go to Earth. The thing is, though, is that the Decepticons, they find out about what the Autobots are planning. We have some casualties in this movie so that we can sell some brand new toys, basically. So we see Ratchet, Brawn, Prowl, and Ironhide lose to the Decepticons, but it's really funny because Wheeljack, so that's a little odd, but yeah. Then we're introduced basically, in the movie at the same time, we're also introduced to some new Transformers. In this case, we're introduced to Hot Rod, where he's fishing on Autobot City on Earth with Daniel, the son of Spike. The Decepticons hijack the Autobots shuttle that they went to Earth on. And Hot Rod notices this, so he heads his way over there, which is the really neat scene of him holding Daniel and transforming, driving his way to the shuttle. And then we have this amazing, epic battle that starts on the Autobots shuttle. And again, we're introduced to Ultra Magnus. We are introduced to RC, who to this day I still think RC is one of the coolest Autobots to be created for Transformers. Basically, you're starting your movie with a planet being devoured, and then a plan to basically take back Cybertron, and then the action starts right away. This movie is unapologetically action. I love that because it's fast-paced and it never feels boring. And I can go into long detail about the battle on the shuttle, but there's just so much going on, and our Autobots are fighting our Decepticons. You even have the Dinobots there. Grimlock is my favorite Autobot, so it's just a really fun battle. And then finally, Optimus and Megatron come head to head and start fighting each other in battle as Megatron technically kind of falls to Optimus. We get basically one of my favorite and one of the most famous lines from the movie.
I thought you were made of sterner stuff.
Megatron is wounded in battle with Optimus Prime, but you think that he's done for, and you think that Optimus Prime has won the battle, but no, he takes one blast at Optimus Prime and he destroys Optimus Prime with Hot Rod in the middle of the whole thing. And so this is the moment that broke a lot of kids' hearts when they went to the cinema. Well, suffice it to say, the Decepticons, they get away, they carry Megatron with them into Astro Train, the triple charger, and they make their escape. Basically nobody won this fight, so all we had was casualties of war for kind of no reason at all. So as I mentioned, this is the part where all the little kids got sad, which kind of annoys me because they had the opportunity to unalive Duke in the G.I. Joe movie, but they chose not to do it. They just put him in a coma and brought him back. But no. Optimus Prime is on his DEATH bed. Daniel, Hot Rod, they're all crying over Optimus, in hopes that he will survive. He doesn't, though. He doesn't. He passes on the matrix of leadership to Ultra Magnus in one of the weirdest looking animation, despite the chagrin of Ultra Magnus, who does not think that he should rightfully take on the matrix of leadership. He becomes the technical new leader of the Autobots. Meanwhile, as the Decepticons are on Astro Train, basically Astro Train is losing fuel, and in order to conserve fuel, they need to get rid of some of the Decepticons. But I know that Skywarp, I think it's the trackers that are gotten rid of, right? So Skywarp and Thundercracker, and they also throw out Megatron, and Megatron is pleading with Starscream to not throw him out, but Starscream wants to be the leader of the Decepticons, so he ends up, basically saying, for lack of a better word, too freaking bad Megatron, and he throws Megatron out of the plane, and that's where a whole kerfuffle between the Decepticons. You have the Constructicons, you have Soundwave, to name a few. They all want to assume the leadership of the Decepticons. As the Decepticons who are wounded, again, it was Megatron, Thundercracker, Skywarp, and Insecticons, as they're floating in space, drifting in space, dead as hunk of junk metal, the planet that we saw at the beginning of the movie. makes itself known to them. This planet offers Megatron and the Decepticons, the fallen Decepticons, a chance at new life. Megatron's reluctant because Megatron basically says that he's a slave to nobody, but Unicron basically tells him that he can give him power. Megatron basically accepts, and so I love it because it's kind of like a body horror moment where he transforms. The Transformer, Unicron transforms Megatron into Galvatron. You have the Insecticons and you have the two trackers who are turned into Scourge and then turned into Cyclonus. So they're basically turned into the Heralds. Where have we seen this before? Yes, technically Galvatron, Scourge, and Cyclonus are basically this movie's Galactus and his Herald, whether it be Silver Surfer, or one of them. That's basically what the premise of this movie is that you have a Galactus character trying to destroy worlds. So he warps them into Galvatron, Scourge, and Cyclonus so that they could get the Matrix of Leadership for him as well. We're back to Cybertron as Astro Train brought the Decepticons back. Basically, the Decepticons are holding a coronation for King Starscream. All hail King Starscream. Until Galvatron interrupts the coronation. Makes it known that he was Megatron, and he ends up unaliving Starscream. So Starscream, King Starscream, comes and goes within a few mere moments of the movie. The treacherous Starscream is no longer. Galvatron gives an ultimatum to the rest of the Decepticons. You're with me or you're against me. And whoever's against Galvatron, they will pay the price. So some agree, some disagree. Of course, Soundwave agrees to stay with Galvatron. The rest are punished for choosing not to be with Galvatron. So then we see Unicron, who's starting to devour planets. The moons of Cybertron, I should say. Especially with Spike and Bumblebee being on one of the planets. And this is the coolest thing about a kid's movie from the 1980s. They notice that a planet is devouring another planet, and we get this line from Spike.
It isn't even dented! Oh shit, what are we gonna do now?
Now they concoct a way to try and destroy the Planet Eater Unicron, and they believe that they've done so only to not succeed, basically. And so Galvatron starts to devour the moon as Bumblebee and Spike are getting away, but he sucks them in as well. So Galvatron makes it his mission to seek out Ultra Magnus so he can claim the Matrix of Leadership. At the same time, the Autobots are leaving Autobot City, but they are shot out of the sky by the Decepticons. Oh, I forgot to mention, you also have Kup, who's a war veteran, who's also a lot with Hot Rod in the movie. In the shoot-down, Kup and Hot Rod land on a planet. Kup is kind of damaged, and so Hot Rod patches him up. Where they're taken in by bots on that planet.
Ba weep grana weep ninibong.
Ba weep grana weep ninibong.
Ba weep grana.
To the Quintessons. Basically are judges of that planet, who, no matter if you're guilty or innocent, they still plummet you to your doom, devoured by the Sharkticons. Dinobots were also marooned on that planet with Kup and Hot Rod. So they want to find Kup and Hot Rod. And this is where the other character, I cannot stand this character. This is where, if you thought Blur was an annoying character, Wheelie comes in. Wheelie is an annoying little tiny character who hangs out with Grimlock once they meet him, and he speaks in rhymes, and I was like, this character always kind of annoyed me every time I watched the movie. When Kup and Hot Rod are thrown in their cell, one of the robots from the opening scene from the planet that Unicron devoured, he explains his little story, but then he's brought to justice with the Quintessons, and I mean, they basically charge him innocent and they send him to his doom. Kup and Hot Rod realize that this might potentially happen to them as well. It's going to happen to them, but they're trying to figure out a way to stop this from happening. Meanwhile, you also have basically Blur, Ultra Magnus, and RC who are marooned on the Junk Planet. And on this planet, you have basically I think they're called the Junkticons. This is where you have Wreck-Gar and his crew. They're kind of like basically savage type of Transformers. But this is where Galvatron comes to the Junk Planet, where he basically found Ultra Magnus. And he injures Ultra Magnus and takes the Matrix of Leadership with him. After Hot Rod and Cup are sentenced to innocent, they're sent into the swarm of Sharkticons, but they come up with a plan to kind of spin around, and then they break out, and they kind of trick the Sharkticons into going after the Quintessons. Hot Rod, Cup, the Dinobots, and of course Wheelie, they leave the planet and they make their way to the junk planet with our other Autobots, Ultra Magnus, RC, Blur, and now the Junkticons who are surrounding them. Cup and Hot Rod are confused, and basically Hot Rod says, you know, what's that universal greeting again?
Ba weep grana weep ninibon.
Ba weep grana weep ninibon.
And with this, Wreck-Gar and his crew are happy. They start referencing TV shows, and one of the best songs choices of the movie is this is where they play Dare to Be Stupid by Weird Al Yankovic. So the Junkticons, they help rebuild Ultra Magnus, who was wounded, but they help rebuild him, and they repair their ship, and they make their way off the junk planet. They fly to Cybertron because Galvatron has the Matrix of Leadership and intends to use it. Now, Galvatron, again, wants to use the Matrix of Leadership to control Unicron. However, you have to be chosen for the Matrix of Leadership. And so, of course, Galvatron's not going to be chosen. But he still tries, and this kind of pisses off Unicron. And you finally get to see Unicron in his ultimate form. Unicron goes from planet, and he transforms into this gigantic robot. He does start to attack and destroy bits and parts of Cybertron, which includes casualties of the Decepticons. I think Shockwave even falls to this, and he ends up even swallowing Galvatron and the Matrix of Leadership. The ship is destroyed, is damaged, and they end up inside of Unicron. There are still some Decepticons and Autobots inside of Unicron and other robots that he's unaliving, and in there are Spike and Bumblebee. They end up saving, I believe it's Spike's son, Daniel. They end up closing the hatch for his digestive system, and they end up saving Bumblebee and Spike. And then a whole battle ensues with Unicron and Hot Rod. Galvatron tried to go into cahoots with Hot Rod to take down Galvatron, but it didn't work. And then still the battle ends up, there still ends up being a fight between Galvatron and Hot Rod. Galvatron injures Hot Rod. In the darkest hour, when the light will save them all, Hot Rod is provided the Matrix of Leadership, right, as it falls away from Galvatron. Hot Rod acquires the Matrix of Leadership, and he's able to open it, and he becomes Rodimus Prime. Hot Rod is now the leader of the Autobots. Finally, Rodimus Prime defeats Galvatron, but it's not the last we'll see of Galvatron, even though he goes tumbling into space. He does come back in the following season after the... And they end up destroying Unicron from the inside with the famous head popping off. Unicron's defeated, the Decepticons are defeated, the Autobots take back their home, Cybertron, where we end with the Autobots celebrating happily. And Unicron's head floating into space, and it stops there. And we come back to, again, the best theme song from a movie ever, and the best interpretation of the Transformers theme song. The Transformers by Lion. And that's where the movie ends. It's an amazing movie, and every single moment you're watching this movie, you're either action-packed, edge of your seat, or you're like invested in like, oh my god, what's gonna happen next? There's a lot of goofy parts in the movie. There's a lot of questionable stuff that they put in the movie too. Like, why did we need Wheelie? Blur was annoying. The whole part of Quintessa was a little bit rushed, and I feel like they could have explained more, which I do think Skybound is taken care of now. I think they're going more into that lore of the Quintessons, which really cool. I feel like the Quintessons should have their own story. I think that's the whole point of Void Rivals. It's not a movie without its faults, right? So yeah, sometimes the animation's a little goofy, like when Ultra Magnus takes it. And of course there's my least favorite parts of the movie. Why did we need to unalive Optimus Prime? Why did we need to unalive Starscream? Just so we can sell more toys? We didn't need that. Kids loved the Autobots and Decepticons they already had, right? When I first saw this movie, and I was like, well, that was a choice. And it was because of this that when the G.I. Joe movie came out, I think it was the following year, they chose to not unalive Duke, and they just put him in a coma just to bring him back at the end of the movie. Here we are, 40 years later. Hasbro is doing an apology tour, and they're bringing the movie back in theaters via Fathom Events on September 17th. I don't know if it's going to be a one weekend thing or if it's going to be like a week or two run, but they're promising an extra brand new chapter. Now, are they going to retcon his death? Because in the cartoon, we do get Optimus Prime come back at the end, I think, of the 3rd season. I uploaded the trailers here a couple of weeks ago, and at the end of the video, I did mention what my theories are, so go check that out. I'm really interested to look and see what they're going to be doing with this, if it's going to be retconning his unaliving in the movie, or if it's going to be a brand new TV series. We'll see. Like I said, that's really my only downside of the movie, is the sometimes goofy animation, the unaliving of the Transformers that was unnecessary, and also the fact that I feel like they kind of ripped off Marvel with Galactus and his Heralds. I will say though, that downside for me right there actually makes it one of the positive, because even though you can blatantly tell they're ripping off Marvel with Galactus and the Heralds, it works well, because to this day, Unicron is still a massive fan favorite Transformer character, to the point where we've never gotten a proper Unicron. I don't care, Rise of the Beast was not good, and that Unicron was garbage. Yes, the Transformers Armada did the Unicron trilogy, and it was still pretty cool, and I think they also did him in Transformers Prime, but I still think that the Transformers the movie had the best depiction of Unicron. And he's still overly popular, and even though Orson Welles did not know what he was doing, he did a fantastic job voicing Unicron. That brings me to the voice acting. I absolutely love Leonard Nimoy as Galvatron. I absolutely thought that Judd Nelson did a great job as Hot Rod. Robert Stack, who's also the host of Unsolved Mysteries, did a great job voicing Ultra Magnus. Now, of course, they did bring in new people to voice, but you still had my forever Optimus Prime, Peter Cullen, and my forever Megatron, Frank Welker, who still came back to do the voices, and my god, they still did a great job. I feel like they went all out with this movie. But again, the big downside for me is Optimus Prime and Starscream dying. I think that's the big downside of the movie. Where Transformers the movie shines is the story sometimes can leave a little to be desired, right? It's got some plot holes, it's fine. But it really shines with the animation and the voice acting. I still think that for a movie that's 40 years old, you could tell that it was, I think it was Toei that worked on it, because the animation was stellar, and it still holds up today. And I still feel that way about old anime from the 80s and 90s, that it still has a certain charm to it all these years later. There are a lot of Western cartoons that you watch that don't hold that same charm. And of course, the soundtrack is the greatest soundtrack, in my opinion, to ever be made. Not one song on that movie is horrible, and not one song on that movie does not get you energized and pumped up. Transformers could have ended with season 2, had the big bang for the movie, and that was it. But no, they came back with a season 3, which had all the characters from the movie, and then a final 4-episode season 4. And that was the story of G1 Transformers. A lot of these characters, in some way or another, have come back over the years. If you really want to see a good Transformers show that kind of doesn't really continue on the Transformers the movie, but does have characters from the Transformers the movie, that Prime Wars trilogy that Machinima did was amazing. I really recommend going to check that out. And also check out the Unicron trilogy of TV series, but mostly Transformers Armada. You don't have Hot Rod, but you have Hot Shot, who's kind of that kind of character. And it's just a really good show. I highly recommend it. Now, without Transformers the movie, you wouldn't have had, of course, the Michael Bay Transformers and all the stupid, awful sequels that came after it. You wouldn't have had Bumblebee, which was also really good, which was Return to Form. And you would not have had the very, very good Transformers 1 3D animated movie. I think that when they banked on the Transformers movie, they're like, this is a chance, this is a gamble we're making. And that gamble paid off. And look, here we are 40 years later, and it's still one of the most celebrated movies ever made. And it is my favorite movie ever made. That brings me to my rating. On 5, I think you know, it's an automatic. This is 5 out of 5. If I could give it a 10 on 5, I would, but out of 5 stars, the Transformers the movie gets a 5-star rating. If you've never seen the Transformers the movie, oh my goodness, what are you doing with your life? I'm just kidding when I say that, but if you're a Transformers fan, you've never seen it, or if you're an animation fan and you've never seen it, do yourself a favor, watch, in my opinion, the greatest animated movie ever made. It's an experience unlike anything you've ever seen, and you will not regret it. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Lawbreakers. Boomer the Nerd will return after these messages.
2 years in the making. An incredible adventure in spectacular widescreen animation opens at theaters everywhere Friday, August 8th. Transformers, the movie. It's a startlingly original story that begins in the year 2005.
Look! It's Unicron!
A monster planet destroys everything in its path, while on Earth, Optimus Prime and Megatron battle to the death.
It's over, Prime.
It's a story that will surprise and shock even the most die-hard Transformer fans. Starring Leonard Nimoy and Judd Nelson, with songs by Weird Al Yankovic and Stan Bush. Escape into fantasy this summer, into the incredible rock and roll adventure. Transformers, the movie. Don't miss it. It's rated PG and opens at theaters everywhere August 8th.
You're breaking the law if you're not back. We now return to Boomer the Nerd.
So here we are, 40 years later of the Transformers the movie. I turned 40 as this movie turned 40. I'll be turning 50 when the movie turns 50. Will there be a 40th anniversary release physical media? If there is, I can guarantee you I will go ahead and be picking that up. And if there's going to be a one in 10 years from now for the 50th anniversary, I'll go pick that up too. I'm also going to be heading out to the cinema on September 17th, or whenever I can, when it's released, to go check out the 40th anniversary screening of the Transformers movie, because I absolutely want to see what that last chapter is at the end. And I will probably come back to you, maybe not in a full video, but in a short, with my thoughts on what happened in that added scene. Are you a fan of Transformers the movie? What would you rate the movie? What did you like about the movie? What didn't you like about the movie? Let me know all that good stuff down below. And also, do you recommend the movie to Transformers fans as well if they've never seen it? Alright, that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for sticking around and watching this review. That being said though, if you are brand new to my channel because you do love movie content, you love physical media, you love cartoons, or if you've been watching my videos for the longest time, you've already done so, please and thank you, subscribe to my channel. While you're there, click that bell to be notified whenever I got some brand new content out. Also, if you like this video, let the algorithm know, click that thumbs up button, and also share the video. Share the video with the Autobots and Decepticons so that they can race against time to destroy and defeat Unicron. I'm gonna get out of here for the day. You go ahead and get out of here for the day. I'm actually gonna go watch the Transformers the movie again because it is the 40th anniversary. I'll see you in the next video. Stay cool, stay nerdy, keep watching all those good movies. Take care of yourselves out there. Be good to each other. And to quote Optimus Prime, freedom is the right of all sentient beings. One shall stand, one shall fall.